Please, colleagues, would like to continue with our work today. So I will then hand over to our facilitator. He's the person of Mr. Patrick Bini Emisa to continue with what he started. So let's follow him duly. Sir, the floor is open to you, sir.
Okay, thank you. So this off and that on. Is the results page visible now?
Yes, sir.
So this is a
Okay.
clean sheet. Now, once you get to the page, what some of us do is to sort of do Control P to
Mhm.
print, okay?
Yeah.
And then in our attempt to print, we save it as a PDF. Now, one major challenge with saving it as a PDF, I want you to look at something. So you see that it gets segmented into pages, right? So look at the page one, how it looks like. So the school name and the title is segmented up there. Then we have the other part of it segmented to the next page. Now look at the results of the last person. You realize that the name is separated, then the result to get separated across the two pages. Now, if you are working with a tool like Power Query, where it automatically tries to grab the data from the PDF, this part becomes an issue because if you don't take care, you may overlook that and then you may misrepresent the data. Okay, so uh, one of the reasons why I don't encourage having it in a PDF form. But if you still want to go ahead and then work on it this way, fine, fair enough. However, I feel if you save it as an HTML file, that one it's safe because watch this. Put the keys together, Control and then S. It opens a dialog window for me. Now with the dialog window, I get to save the file. Okay,
Yes.
so I have saved it like this. You can save it with any name that you like, but for easier identification, I prefer to use the school's BECE code hyphen a short name of the school so that and then usually I put BECERES, that's the result. Then I put the year at the end. That helps me to quickly target a particular school's data set for a particular year. So if you follow this kind of practice, it makes it easier. Some of us, yeah. So once you've gotten your page and you saved it as an HTML file, it is always and easily available for you to use anytime. Another way that I mentioned was to save it in a spreadsheet, okay, in a spreadsheet file. So for the spreadsheet aspect, all you do is you open your spreadsheet file, but before then, you might wanna go to the page, you select the table, so you just click and drag over the table on the WAEC page like this. Once you've highlighted the content on the WAEC page, you just do Control C to copy, or you could right click and then copy. So I've copied the data set. Then I go to my spreadsheet application, and with this, I will advise that you use a spreadsheet application that exists on your local computer. From experience with Google Sheets, if you do the copying and you go and paste it in Google Sheets online, it sort of does not paste it accurately. However, if you paste it in Microsoft Excel, this is what happens. So you get the data set cleanly pasted. You see that doesn't have any of the embellishments that we see on the web page. Some people too complain that there are spaces in there. One easy way to fix this is to highlight the data set, the entire data set, okay? You just highlight it from the heading to the last person's result. And then you can do Control plus T, Control T, or you can go to the Home tab of your spreadsheet application, Microsoft Excel in this case. You look for Format as Table, and then you format the data set as a table, and then indicate the range that you selected. Of course, it's going to ask you whether you want to use the existing headers. That's my table has headers. Make sure that is ticked, and then you click on OK. So you get this beautiful appearance here, but still, hey, you still have the spaces in there. No worries. All that you have to do is, fortunately for us, our data set is serialized. By way of serialization, I mean it has the index numbers that start from 1, 2, 3, 4. So what are we talking about here? It means we can sort it. Good. So we just come here, click on the uh, sort and filter button for the index number option. If you want to use the names too, that's okay. You can click either of these, and now all that you have to do is look for sort smallest to largest, or you can do largest to smallest, doesn't matter, just pick any one of them. Now what has happened, all the blank ones have been moved downwards, and then we have our compacted clean data set up. Okay, so all that you do is you select the blank ones, right click, and then what do? You delete. All right, so basically this is how you get the data from the WAEC set into a clean Excel sheet that you can now extract the result aspect and then analyze. We are going to now try to extract the data set such that we can have the various scores under each subject area. However, my inclination is those that have joined today's session, probably you are not at the school level. If you are at the school level, of course, it means that if you get your school's data like this for one school, you are okay. But my perception is those who have joined this meeting are probably at the regional level or at the district level. And so you are going to deal with multiple districts or multiple schools at a go. So does that mean that for each school, I will do this, transform the or extract the result aspect, and then go to the next school and do it? You do realize it's going to be a cumbersome process altogether. So how about we try to put a whole lot of them in there, and then we transform it? Okay, so that's what I want us to look at. So for the purpose of that, what I will encourage you to do is, whilst downloading or extracting the data from the WAEC website, get your Excel sheet ready. What I will encourage you to do is to the first sheet, name it as, say, and you are at liberty to name it anything that you want, but you can, I prefer you name it maybe first, and then you get another sheet named maybe last. Why are we doing this? We are doing this because between the first and the last, we are going to put all other sheets for other schools in there. Okay? Once we do that, what is going to happen is that it will allow us to write a shorter, simpler Excel formula. Other than that, if you are writing the formula, you would have to stack by repeating each sheet name, and we don't want to do that. We want to write our formula smartly. For the sake of time, I'm going to speed things up and then pull up a dummy one I've already prepared. So I have first and then I have last. Okay, so just note that you can actually have more in there. Okay, you can have more in there. So the first school, we have other schools in here, and then the last school. So we are going to work with this data set. So what do we do from here? So I've downloaded this first school, I've downloaded the second school, this school, this school. Note that I've not formatted it as an official Excel table because I've already gotten rid of the blank spaces. So that step is optional. In any case, for what we are going to do, it wouldn't matter trying to sort the data. For the formula we are going to write, is going to get rid of all the blanks. so it wouldn't matter. So all you have to do is copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, then you go to the formula. So to put the data together and work on it, I create a sheet called combined R. Okay, you can name it anything that you want. Combined R is what I use to refer to it as combined result. That's how I have named it. So to do that, I think I'm going to create that sheet all over again so that you know how I came by it. Let me just call it CMB. All that you need to do is to get the first sheet, maybe the heading, okay? So you put your heading there. Can be anywhere, it doesn't matter. You put your heading there. Once you've put your heading there, the next thing that you have to do is to write the formula, okay? And we are going to write the formula. I will zoom in a little bit so that we write the formula, and I will expand my formula bar. So once you have it there, you go to the index number area. Let's push this a little bit to this side so that good, but that's not necessary anyway. You can choose to skip it. So we are going to write the formula that combines the result on the first sheet, second sheet, third, fourth, fifth. If you have even up to 50 sheets, it doesn't matter. At, at a go, it will put everything together for you. Now, Excel as it exists has, like I said, a 3D way of writing formulas, okay? But then, for those of us that are using old Excel, I wouldn't encourage you to use the formula that I'm going to give. Rather, what I will encourage you to do is to try to get one of the latest versions of Microsoft Office. If you don't have it, don't worry. Don't worry. You can work on Microsoft Excel online for free. So if you go online and you type excel.new, excel.new, it's going to open a new Excel sheet for you to work with, free of charge. You don't have to pay. Okay, so let me demonstrate that for us to see. If you go online, you don't need to type any complex URL. Just type excel.new. This is a shortcut to create a new Excel sheet online. Excel.new. Microsoft will quickly whip up a new Excel sheet for you. Of course, you must have a Microsoft account, which is free to create, and you should have signed in. Now, if you want to use Google Sheets too, it's just the shortcut is sheet and of course .new. Sheet.new should be able to pull up a new spreadsheet in Google Sheets for you. Let's see. So because of speed, I prefer you work in Ghana. We don't have that fast speed. The more the reason why I want you to use we don't want to leverage network. So I'm using Microsoft Office 365, and so I get to use the newer features of Excel, and we are going to leverage the newer features because it makes writing the formulas so easy and so interesting. All right, so what are we going to do? I know my people, most of us here probably have been through a math class, and let me start from the viewpoint that you've done algebra before, hopefully. And because of that, we know that we have something called variables, right? I'm not going to treat the class as if you are now learning Excel. I'm assuming that you know Excel to some extent. So we are going to pull the data from the first sheet through to the last sheet. We type equal to, we are going to use, I spoke about variables, okay? And so we are going to use variables in doing this. So there's a function called the let function. It's a very nice function. I encourage you to learn about it. For those of you that would like to learn so much about some of these things, I have a YouTube channel, by the way. I'll later on give you the address. You can go in there and then you learn stuff, okay, free of charge. Now we use the let to assign a variable, okay? So for instance, I would like to say let res being result. You can go ahead and write it for result, okay? Let result. So just so that next time you pick it, you understand I'm using the word result as the variable. You can make it r. let R, okay? If you want to keep your formula short, and I like to do that. Obviously, if I do that, when someone else picks my code, they may not really, or they may find it a bit difficult to understand, especially for somebody who is not so accustomed to the formulas. So let R or let result, whatever name you call it, you can call it book. Let Kofi be this, let Amma be that. It's you are the creator. Good. In our case, I'm just going to use RES to represent result, okay? For the sake of you being able to understand it later on when you pick the sheet. I'm making it let result. Result be equal to what? Now there's another new function called VStack. The VStack simply stacks items together vertically. So we are going to take the first sheet. We will take the result from the first sheet, okay? So first, then we'll take that of the second sheet, okay? The second sheet, the third sheet, the fourth, the fifth. So it goes on and on. So we will stack them together vertically like that. So first, second, third. So all the results for the first school, all the results for the second school will come next, then followed by the result for the third school, the fourth. If you have 100 schools, it will follow like that. Note that there's another function called the H stack. H stack will stack them horizontally. So in that case, what will happen is that, let me use the transpose to show you quickly what H stack will do. H stack will pick your results and then stack them horizontally. So first, second, third, fourth. Okay? Whilst this stack will stack them from top to bottom. H stack will stack them from left to right. So take note of that. Alright, that is just by the way. So we are doing a V stack. Let's get back to our formula. So V stack, your result, you bring V stack, and then you just tell it first school, like this. FIR. So follow exactly the name you have named your sheet, the first school and the last school. If you have not done it that way, you would have to write the name one after the other. So imagine having 100 sheets. You have to write all the 100 sheets in here. But because of the 3D formula advantage that you have in Microsoft Excel, you get to just write the first sheet and then the last sheet. Google Sheet doesn't have that feature. So those of you that will be using Google Sheets know that you won't get to enjoy that feature in there. So first school. So I said you should write it like you have named it. So I've named it first school. Look at the green button down here. First school. That's how I've named it. Then you bring colon. Then last. So whatever name you gave to your first and last sheet name, that's what you give. Then you bring your exclamation sign indicating that what you specified is for a sheet. And then the data range. When we say data range, what are we talking about? If we go to any of the sheets, take note of where it starts from and then where the data set ends, at least for the most numerous results data set. You see that the first school has just about 4 students. So look for the school that has the highest number of students and look at where it ends. So this one, it starts from the A1 cell and then it ends at the E7, which is the highest or maximum row that we have. Let me check this one. This one is small, but look at this. It seems like the last sheet has more students. So 20. To be on the safe side, I will just use a maximum of 50, okay? Or maybe 40. In your case, depending on, you could have a school that has 100 students. So it means that you have to select a sheet range that is up to 100. I'm going to do first school to last school. And then the sheet range, remember it was from A to E. So I'm going to do dollar sign. Now the dollar sign, for those of you that are wondering why we use dollar signs in Excel sheet or spreadsheet, it is to lock that range. So I'm locking the column to column A, and then I will lock the row to A2. I'm excluding the headings for each of them. Other than that, I would have started from A1. Okay, so A2 through to, I'm locking E, and then remember I said I'll use a maximum rows of about 50. Let me reduce it to say 30. Yeah, I don't have that many students for the data set I'm using, but if you have 100 or 200 students in one school, note that you have to increase this max to reflect that. Yeah, so once you've done that, then what you will do is you close that off. Now the beautiful thing about this is that once you have written that first part, so you say let result be equal to this tag, the first sheet to the last sheet for this range, then you repeat that you want it to return result, then you close the parenthesis. And beautifully we have our data displayed for us. But what is happening? We see some zeros in there. Okay, so we see that for the first sheet, the first person through to the last person. Then because we specified up to 30 rows and it's not finding anything for the remaining rows, we get zeros in there. And I doubt you would want that in your data set. And so we have to proceed to clean up those zeros. So how are we going to clean up those zeros? There's another beautiful formula function called choose calls. Choose calls. Again, if you are not using the latest Office 365, you may not have access to that. So I'm encouraging us to get the latest. And you can easily get it. So like I've shown you, you can easily use Excel Online for free. So let's do a name for that aspect. So I will name it call for columns. Okay, bring a comma and I say let call be equal to what? Remember, I'm returning the result. So uh, I'm going to maintain that. Just so I don't confuse you, I'm taking it off. I'm not returning result. I'm assigning a new variable. The new variable is called call, C-O-L. I've assigned a first variable called result. I'm assigning a new variable called call, C-O-L. C-O-L, and I'm using the new function I mentioned, that's choose calls. There's also choose rows, okay? Now, choose calls, the only thing it does is that given a range of columns, so column A, B, C, D, E, through to wherever you specify, we want to choose some of the columns. That's why it's called choose calls. But in choosing the columns, we use numbers. Okay, so like 1, 2, 3. So choose the first column. If you want to choose the first column, you use 1. If you want to choose the second column, use 2, 3, 4, 5. Are we okay? Good. So choose calls. The question is, where are you choosing the columns from? We are choosing the columns from the result. Okay, so result, whatever variable you specify. So if you did it R, you say choose calls R. If you did it Kofi, choose calls Kofi. If you did it Kojo, choose calls Kojo. Are we okay? So choose calls from what data set? The result data set. Which of the columns are you choosing? Now, we are going to choose a column to use as a point where we are going to use to filter our data set, okay, so that we can get rid of the zeros. Now, for any valid student in our data set to exist, that person must have a name, right? That person must have an index number, so we can use any of them. So we are going to say in our data set, anyone who is not having an index number, or any row that is not having an index number, get rid of it. Or any name that is not having any name column that is not having a proper name, get rid of it. But I said I'm going to use the index number field. So index number field in our data set is column what? Column 1. So I just bring 1. So choose course from our results data set. Which column are we targeting? We are targeting the first column, so we use 1. Now, once we've done that, look at what happens. I'm going to return the call. So call, and I close that. You see that the other columns have lost the data that existed in there. Yes, that's because we've selected just the first column of the data set. But obviously, that is not what we intend. We are just leveraging that to filter out the data set. So again, I will just take this step off and then proceed to write another function within this function. This time, we are going to use what is called filter. So we are filtering the data set. So which data set are you filtering? Of course, is the result data set. So result data set is what we want to filter. So we want to filter the result data set where the column that we've selected, you see this column, is not equal to 0. It's not equal to 0. So if it is not equal to 0, select it. If it is equal to 0, don't select it. That's all that we are saying. And by that, we will close and then look at the beautiful thing that happens. Our data set gets filtered nicely. And then all the results from all the other sheets has been put in there. Now, one other beautiful thing about writing your data set like this is anytime anytime you put in a result, so assuming you have 50 sheets or 100 sheets, let me pull this out from that range. So I'll pull the 398 out. Look at the combined data set. It doesn't have the data set for the last one. These two, I think this is not even plenty, so you don't really see the effect. Let me pull out the ASC and then look at the result. We have 32 rows of data. But if I put in the ASC, look at what happens. Now you have 39. So anytime you add to it, it automatically puts it in there as quickly as possible. You don't have to suffer to do any other thing. So you just add up, add up. So if you have 100 sheets, you can put all of them in there. On a side note, note that the latest Microsoft Excel can pull up to a sheet of about 250, is it 250, 255 or 254. So note that you cannot have more than that number of sheets within your one Excel workbook. So please take note of that limitation in there. Google Sheet, well, doesn't really look at the number of sheets, but it looks at the number of cells. So there's a calculation for that. We are not going to delve into that, but just know that there's a limitation to the number of sheets you can have in a workbook or Excel, and then that of Google Sheets. So just take note of that. And I doubt we have a district that has about 250 schools. If you have, I will encourage that you separate the private schools data and then the public schools data. That will reduce the number of schools you have to work with in a workbook. Okay? Yeah. So once you have your data set like this, I think the problem is not solved yet. Let me number this sequence. I'm just numbering my data set, okay? And to number it, I prefer to use the dynamic way. And whilst I'm at it, let me tell you about the dot or trim range Excel function, which is also another handy one. If you use a dot in there, all you are telling it is that wherever it is a 0 or it's not returning a proper this thing, you should just ignore it, okay? So it automatically trims your data cleanly for you. Yeah, so I've automatically named the rows of data using the sequence and count to A function over here. Good. Once you have the data set like this, let me get rid of this here. The data set like this. Of the next issue is to have each subject area So let's say English, one column for English.
Okay, it said, I thought we are dealing with candidates of which a district can have more than 3,000.
Yeah. For the demonstration purpose, I have limited the data set that we are looking at. I only limited it like this just so it can be visible on the screen. Trust me, we can work on about in Excel. We have the rows. The limitation I spoke of was for the number of sheets. So this first sheet, second sheet, third sheet. Do you get me? Not the rows. As for rows in Excel, you have up to about 1,000,000 and over. This is the last. This is the last row. That's 1,048,576. So for the rows, we have over 1,000,000. And there's no district in Ghana that has 1,000,000 BECE candidates. I doubt we have that. So for the sheet, the limitation is there, but for the rows, you are not limited that much. Okay, good. Thank you for that question there. I think it goes a long way to help others. So once you put your data set together like this, like I said, our next issue is to have the various subjects and the results populated there. Very good. Again, for the purpose of the exercise and to speed things up, though there's a dynamic way to get the names from all the results data set, I have taken the time to pull out all the subjects that are written for BECE. Okay, so I'm going to put a sheet in here. So the config sheet, on the config sheet, I've created a simple table here. Now, what is this table telling us? The only thing the table is saying is these are the subjects, and I call it the configuration sheet because this is what will help you to transform the data set. Note that this part is independent of this table here. This table is different from the other table. This table we have here is different from this subject table. I only pulled out the subject table so that we could have a total list of the subject that we have in there. So when we pick this, we are going to transpose it. So transpose like that so that we have them this way horizontally. I copied the subject and then I pasted. In pasting, I chose transpose. So it will change it from vertical to horizontal. If you have a data set in the horizontal form and you copy and you transpose, it will give the data set to you in the vertical form. So transpose will take data set and then change it from vertical to horizontal or horizontal to vertical. So either ways, in our case, because our data set needs to get the headings, we are using this. All right. So I'll come to where I'm combining the data set. I'll right click and paste as values my result headings. The next thing we are going to do is to write another interesting formula. The interesting formula we are going to write will allow us to extract each subject score and put it dynamically under each subject if the person wrote that subject. So that's what I want us to do. And one may ask, what is the formula for that? And fair warning, the formula we are going to use is just a little bit complex, but not so complex. So for that, I will expand my formula area, and then what we are going to do is we are going to leverage a group of functions. We are going to use the bycol function, BYCOL. We are going to use a lambda. We are going to use the let, and someone asked me about the len function whilst I was talking. So we are going to leverage the len function. We are going to leverage the search function. We are going to leverage right, left, and then we are going to leverage value if its number is error. So we are putting all these functions together to do the extraction. Very good. So quickly, I've already written that formula. I'm going to paste it in there for the sake of time. I will explain it to you anyway. So what are we saying here? All that we are saying is we should we are telling Excel that it should look in column F. Okay, it should look in this column over here, and and by way of this thing, what we are starting with is that we have the subject at the top, J1 through to AA1. Okay, J1, that's the top here. English language is here, mathematics, science, social studies. Okay, the first four core subjects, I've intentionally put them together just to make writing the formula easier. All other subjects, and note that I've put the languages too all together at one side. So especially the Ghanaian languages, Equiapin Tree through to Nzema are at the final end. Okay, so all I'm saying is that it should consider those subjects and then look through the the raw data which contains the result. Once it goes into that raw data, it should remove all spaces and replace it with nothing. I don't want to work with spaces in there so that extracting the formula, the result becomes easier. So I remove all spaces and then I assign the B and H. One may be asking, why B and H? So the B is a variable I've assigned for H. And what is H? H is the lambda I am using. So I'm referencing each of the items within the result, the subject, okay? Then we find the length of B. The length of B is the length of the subject that I have stated here. So if it takes English, it will count the number of characters, and then that will be the length of English. Math, count the number of characters. Science, count the number of characters. Then it moves on to step G, where it will search for the length, it will search for B, which is the subject, given the fact that all the spaces have been taken out, plus 1. I'm doing plus 1 because there is a hyphen in front of each subject. So the plus 1 is just to tell it that add 1 to the length of the subject name, and then you do a right and left to pull out the subject score. Okay, so this one, the right gives you the length of the subject and then the hyphen. Once it has found that, then it will take that subject and then extract the number or the score. So for instance, if you take career technology dash 3, then it will extract the number from the right, because dash 3 will mean that 3 is the score, which is at the right side. The one character from the right side is 3. So it will extract that. Once it has extracted that, I tell it that because what we are using, the right and left, they are called text functions. If you look into the formula side or the formula section of your Microsoft Excel, you realize that it belongs to the text functions. So the text function in there will give you a result that has a data type that is text, and we don't want that. You cannot add text because it will get to a point where we have to add text when we are doing the aggregate. So we want it as a number. So we are saying that convert whatever result you get to a number. Okay, that's why we are using value E. Now if we get to the G aspect is telling us to check if what we have got for F, that is converting the value, the E to value, which is a number, returns a number, then give us F. So if it is a number, give it to me like that. But if it is not a number, now this is where some people, they make mistake in their WAEC result analysis. When WAEC gives you the data set, there are some people that their results have been marked with X. Some people, their result, oh please, is the screen not showing? Somebody is saying the screen is not showing.
It's
It's
showing.
showing.
All right, thank you. So please kindly check your end, okay? Yeah. So if the result, you have somebody marked as an X, please take note of this. This is very important. It means the person did not do what, or what is the issue with the person? Somebody from the floor can help us with that. I just want to test if you are there.
It means the person is absent.
Very good.
The person
The
was
person is
absent.
absent. Very good. What if it is an asterisk?
Asterisk means it's outstanding. It's
Yes. So
outstanding.
asterisk means the person has an issue with the result, and so
Yeah,
why?
so it's pending.
Yes, is pending. The result has for that particular person's subject area has not been. So let's think of it that there's an issue with the result. Okay, so it's pending, it's outstanding. Yeah. So these are the characters we need to take note of beside the 1 through to 9. Okay. So for those of you that are familiar with again databases or sometimes SPSS and the rest, you realize that data typing is very important. So you need to have the same data type within a data field. So you don't mix text and numbers in the same data field. But here's the case we've done that. And so this J line, what it is doing is it is looking at if it is an X, it assigns 88. You can use any number, but I will advise it is a higher number. Okay, you can use 1,000, you can use 2,000, 33, whatever. Assign it to that. That whenever it sees that somebody is absent, make it. I prefer to use 88. And if the person has an issue, it means the person who wrote but has an issue. I prefer to use 77 to represent that. You can use any number, but it shouldn't be a number that is within the range of 1 to 9. Remember, 1 to 9 is already what is used to represent the various grades. Are we okay with that? Yeah. Then finally, if the person, for instance, it's not everybody that writes French. If the person did not write, use 99. So the person did not register to write that. So by doing this, I have essentially categorized all the different kinds of output that WAEC would have given or our formula would have turned out. Okay, so we won't have any null values or blank values in there. Then finally, if you write a code, always you have to catch your errors so that there won't be bugs hanging all around. And so we use the if error to do that. So if error, I'm saying if Jane, upon all that I have done, will return an error, please still give me 99, because at the end of the day, I'm accounting for the fact that if any illegal character appears there, it is not a genuine character because it's not within 1 to 9. It is not saying it's absent. It's not saying there's an issue. But I am forcefully categorizing that as an issue. And so by doing that, this is what happens. You beautifully get all the results for you. So if we take this first person's result, English language, the person had 2. 2 is shown here. Math, the person had 5. The next subject is fancy, but you see that I have math. Let's comb through math. This is math over here. You see that truly the person had 5. Science, the person had 2. Let's check, it's 2. So yes, our formula works. Once you see that it works, and let's take note of the ones that the person did not write. The person did not write Arabic. Look at it. It has given 99. So so right away, when I see this, I know that, oh, this person did not register or write for Arabic. However, let's copy the formula down. So you can do the good old drag and drop, or the easiest way sometimes I do is I just select the formula I've written, and then I move to the last person. I hold down the shift key and I click down. Then I press Control D. Control D. So Control D will replicate the formula across. And look at this over here for row 19. This person was absent for some subject. And let's look at that English X. Fanti X, social studies X, math X. So you see that those respective subjects have been marked with the 88. And look at the 77s over here. That tells us that they had some issues or pending or whatever. So you see star, 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 and those have been marked with the 77. And my good people, this is the very easy way you can use to extract the data set. Let's finally, because of time, let's look at how to calculate the aggregate. Okay, so with that, let me just quickly put, I'll also put I've pre-written the formula, so I'll just put it there. So let me just go in there and then put it there for the sake of time. But the explanation, of course, like I said, I'll give you my YouTube link. You can go there, I will explain it and put it there. So for the aggregates too, I use the by row, lambda, I use what is called tick, and then I did what is called a drop. Now, by row, I'm saying that Excel should go through each of the rows in this data set and then take the first four, because remember I told you that I have arranged the subjects such that the first four are the core: English, math, science, social studies. So if it takes the results for this first person, it takes the first four and then adds it together. Okay, so take the first four and then filter out. Now you don't just add it. Remember, some people may have the 88, the 77, the 99. So if you are going to add and then say like this person over here with the 88, 88, 188, it means that when you add, the person is going to get some outrageous figure which is not applicable to the WAEC aggregation. Okay, so what you do is that you have to filter out that data set for the figures that are below or equal to 9. So that's why I've done take x for which I've assigned to the variable a, and then with the b, which I'm saying if error, sum the filtered part of the a where we have a is less than 10. It means that any number that is less than 10 is applicable. So we use that one to sum it to get the first four core sum. Okay, then I move to C. I've done the first four. I've added the first valid four. Then the C, what is it doing? I'm using what is called drop. Drop will take the values and then drop after the fourth value. Okay, so I'm saying drop. Remember, I put comma, comma. The comma, comma is telling us that don't consider the row, but consider the column. So 4 columns down. Now, after the fourth column, that is where I'm interested in. So we'll drop those ones and then we'll sum that, okay? Adding the B. The B, remember, is the sum for the first four. So we'll add that to it. And then within that, we want the best two. To get the best two and for the aggregation, the smaller the figure, the better. And so the best two, we use an array over here. That says take the first smallest value, the second smallest value, and then add them together and add it to the value we got for the first four. Once you've done that, ensure that it is less than 6. Okay, once it is less than 6, that is a pass over there. So if it is less than 6, we don't consider it. So 0, and then you return G if it is not less than 6, and then you bring the E here, and that closes off, and beautifully we'll get our aggregation for each of the people. So once you've done this, anytime you come and put a sheet in there, this will automatically get populated, and then you are good to go. Look at this one. It says 0. 0 because this person doesn't have a valid case over here. All the we have only one subject area that is valid. The rest it doesn't hold. Okay, so it marks it as 0. Okay, so that is how I do the aggregation calculation. So on that note, I think we we would have to end it here for this delivery. Like I said, for those of you that would want to follow up, This is where you can get the presentation slide as well as the sheet, the practical sheet that we've worked with, so that you can later on go through it and then enjoy. Okay, yeah, so you can take a screenshot of that and always go there. For those who would like to contact me, the slide will be available. In the slide you will see that we have this in there. That is me over there, and that's my number, that's my email, and then that's the link to my YouTube channel. You can also take a screenshot of that and then you can reach out. And please, when you get to the YouTube page, kindly subscribe so that when I put the videos there, you'll be alerted and then you'll be able to enjoy it. Okay? Thank you so much. If there are any questions, I am all ears. Isaac, over to you.
Yes, sir.
Isaac, please forgive me. I think from the beginning I promised something. Let me quickly deliver on that, if our people will allow me. I told you that, in fact, what we've been through, some people may be like, hey, is this how it is? Yeah, so I want to show you an easier way. I told you that we are in the age of AI, okay? You can whip it up. All that I've done, talking plenty, we can whip up something quickly. So it won't take long. Let me just demonstrate that so that our people, those who would like to fall on that, you fall on that, okay? Please, is permission given?
Yes, sir. You can go ahead.
Yes.
All right, so for my AI fans, this is what you do. I told you that there are some AIs available that can be leveraged for this particular activity. So one of such is called the BRICS, and I will encourage you to use either that
We-
or another one called Quadratic. Okay, so you just type in the bricks.com. Of course, you will need to sign in, and it's free. You sign in with your Google account. When you go there, this is a wonderful AI oriented spreadsheet application. All that you do is you sign in. So I'm going to sign in. Once you signed in, what you do is you create a new bricks file. Okay, so you see that you have start a blank file. You can also import. So I'll do start a blank file, and then I will go to my Excel sheet. Of course, the part where you've extracted is what we are interested in. So you go to your Excel sheet. What we are going to do is going to help us get rid of, or get rid of writing the B stack and the rest. Okay. So all you do is pick the result sheet. Sorry, the result field. You copy your result. So if you have 1 million results, just copy that and then you come and paste it in there. Once you pasted the result, doesn't matter how it looks like, just paste it in there. Once you pasted the result, there are some prompts are pre-written that you can use, but essentially what you are trying to do is you are going to tell it to extract a unique list of what you have there. So take note of where the data starts from. It starts from row A3 through to, so if yours is like 1 million, then you tell it to look at it up to 1 million. So row A3 up to, in my case, row 40. Okay. First, you want to get the unique subject names, but if you have the subject already, just go ahead and then do it. So what I'm going to do is the first prompt, Control C, you get to this side and then you put it there. So in my case, I say row A3 through to B40. Sorry, A40. So please extract a unique list of subjects for the data set range A3 through to A40. Let's look at what happens. The AI will go through it. And then you don't have to do anything. It's just going to extract the, you see, we have all the subjects that were written by the schools extracted for us. And of course, we now come to another cell. Then we are going to transpose the data set there. So transpose, remember I said the transpose will take a vertical data set and make it horizontal. And if it is the other way around, to do it like that. So you have the data set like this. Very good. Then my next prompt comes. My next prompt is going to tell it to extract all the data. So I select under the first subject area and I put my next prompt, sorry, into the AI prompt area. So I'm telling it that for each row in the data set, remember I said is spans from where? A what? A2,
A3.
A3, sorry. Thank you. A3 through to A40, right? A40. So for each row in the data range A3 to A40, extract each subject score and place under the correct subject field in the range. Now the range is starting from E1 to what? P1. So depending on where you paste it, just modify the code. So I pasted it E1, E1 through to P1.
Please, will it be E2 or E1? Please. Sorry for
E,
interrupting.
E, E. The subject starts from E1. E1. Can you see it?
Okay, thank you.
E1. E1 through
Yeah.
to P1. Yeah. So ensure to place each X score, sorry, replace. Remember, I told you that I have to replace it with values so that it doesn't get the data set mixed up. So ensure to replace each X score with the value 88, the star score with the value 77, and all blank or null values with 99. So let's see what happens once we commit this. So with just these prompts, we should be good to go. So let's see what happens. I believe it's visible for us to see. Ta-da! Everything is done. So no
Hmm.
B stack, no transpose, no blah 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 blah. So for those who want the easy way, everything is done here quickly. If you have 1 million students, all of them would have been done for you in a go. Look, where is null, it puts the 99, where the person was absent 88, and the 77s too, they are all done. So that is quickly the easy way around, and you get to what do you call it, copy this data set and then take it back into wherever and then do your analysis. Of course, the aggregate too, you can teach it to do the aggregation for you, but that's a subject for another day. So I just wanted you to know that this option key was there. And the other free option is quadratic. I'm just giving you the name. When you get time, you can explore that one too. That one basically uses Python code to do the stuff for you. Oops, access denied. It's also free to use. So this is quadratic. It's free to use. I've done one here just for you to see. So you see, I put the results there, and then I've used the quadratic to pull the data set in here beautifully. All right. So Isaac, I think
Yes,
I'm done now. Thank you so much.
Mr. Bani. In fact, you've given us a lot that we can't pay for, and we are much grateful to you.
You're welcome.
In the due time, we'll contact you again so that we look for the next presentation.